Your grammar is perfect. Your vocabulary is impressive. You have studied for years. But when you speak, something still sounds slightly unnatural, and you cannot quite explain why. You are not imagining this. And it has almost nothing to do with how much you know. Most learners assume the answer is more vocabulary or more grammar study. But the missing piece is often something much more physical. Welcome back to Gentle Wisdom, where you learn English while becoming a better version of yourself. One story, one step at a time. Today we explore a part of English learning that textbooks rarely emphasize enough. Pronunciation, not as knowledge but as a physical skill you train the same way you train a muscle. By the end of this video you will understand why sounding natural is less about what you know, and more about what your mouth has actually practiced. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Pronunciation is physical, not just mental. Gabriel Wyner, a language learner and author, writes about this in a book called Fluent Forever. He argues that pronunciation is fundamentally a physical skill, closer to sports or music than to memorizing facts. Speaking a new language requires your mouth, tongue, and lips to move in ways they have never moved before. Your first language trained these muscles for years without you ever noticing. A new language asks them to learn entirely new movements. This is why understanding a sound perfectly and actually producing it naturally are two very different things. You can know exactly how a sound should work and still need real physical practice to produce it smoothly. Knowing the theory behind a tennis serve does not make your arm capable of performing it. The same logic applies to the muscles inside your mouth. Pronunciation is muscle memory. Train your mouth like a muscle. Lesson 2. Why knowledge alone is not enough. Here is where many learners get stuck. They study grammar rules and vocabulary lists extensively, assuming pronunciation will simply follow naturally from enough exposure. But muscles, including the ones in your mouth, improve through repeated, deliberate movement, not through passive knowledge. Understanding a sound intellectually does not automatically train the muscles needed to produce it. This explains why some learners with excellent grammar still sound noticeably unnatural, while others with simpler vocabulary sound remarkably smooth. The difference often comes down to how much physical practice their mouths have actually had, not how much they know. Here is one way to test this today. Choose one English sound that consistently feels difficult for you. Say it slowly, exaggerating the mouth movement 10 times in a row. Notice how it starts to feel slightly more natural by the 10th repetition. Lesson 3. Riku and Mai. Think about two learners who both study English seriously. Riku focuses almost entirely on grammar and reading. He rarely practices speaking out loud, believing that understanding the rules is the most important part of learning. Mai spends time every day practicing pronunciation specifically, repeating short phrases out loud, paying close attention to how her mouth moves. After a year, Riku's grammar in writing is excellent. But when he speaks, his pronunciation still sounds effortful and slightly unnatural, even though his understanding is strong. He often feels frustrated that his English does not sound the way he expects. Mai's grammar is solid though not perfect, but her pronunciation sounds remarkably smooth. People often assume she has lived abroad, simply because of how naturally her English flows. Same amount of study time. A completely different speaking experience. Pronunciation is muscle memory. Train your mouth like a muscle. Lesson 4. Training your mouth like a muscle. You do not need to abandon grammar study. You need to add physical practice alongside it. Wyner recommends shadowing, listening to a short phrase and repeating it immediately, matching the rhythm and sound as closely as possible, rather than simply reading words silently. Think about how this compares to physical exercise. Reading about proper running form will not build the muscles needed to run well. Only actual running does that. Pronunciation works the same way. Reading about sounds builds understanding. Only repeating them out loud builds the actual muscle. Try this today. Choose one short sentence from something you are listening to. Play it, then immediately repeat it out loud, matching the rhythm as closely as you can. Do this 5 times in a row, focusing on the physical movement, not just the meaning. Every repetition trains a muscle memory that knowledge alone cannot build. Every small physical practice moves you closer to sounding natural. Every minute spent shadowing is a minute your mouth spends actually learning. So today, choose one small habit. 5 minutes of shadowing repeated daily trains your mouth the way daily practice trains any muscle. Pronunciation is muscle memory. Train your mouth like a muscle. You are becoming. Something has shifted in you today. The person who finishes this video is not quite the same as the one who started it. That shift is real. And it is yours to keep. If you enjoyed today's story, please like and subscribe. A new story arrives every day. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments too. Every choice shapes your life. Small habits, big results. And keep becoming. Study Corner, today's English notes. Welcome to the Study Corner. Let's review 3 useful words from today's story. The first word is fundamentally. In the story we heard, pronunciation is fundamentally a physical skill, closer to sports or music than to memorizing facts. Fundamentally means at the most basic or essential level. For example, pronunciation is fundamentally about training muscles, not memorizing rules. The next word is shadowing. In the story we heard, Wyner recommends shadowing, listening to a short phrase and repeating it immediately, matching the rhythm and sound as closely as possible, rather than simply reading words silently. Shadowing means listening to speech and repeating it right away, matching rhythm and sound. For example, shadowing a native speaker helps you sound more natural over time. The third word is effortful. In the story, we heard Rika's pronunciation described as sounding effortful. Effortful means requiring a lot of visible effort, not smooth or natural. For example, his speech still sounded effortful, even though his grammar was correct. What was the most useful thing you learned today? Or is there anything you want to know more about? Share your thoughts in the comments. Small steps. Every day. You are doing well. See you tomorrow.